We are making it. And hello. Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Believe it or not, we're here again tonight. No troubles at all, and we're back on the air, slick as can be. And tonight, of course, I got my wonderful co-host, Trina Phoenix, and we got our special guest tonight, which you've been looking forward to for quite a while. I've been telling you all about her, is Kathy Unger from Starseed Technology. Believe it or not, she is here. And I'll tell you a little bit about her. She is the founder of Starseed Technology, an online community designed to bring people from awakening ascension through DNA activations. She has a QHHT practitioner in Ericksonian, Hypnotist, celestial shaman, holy fire Reiki master and teacher, martial artist, and warrior of light. I could say that all in one breath. And I'm sure I really messed that Ericksonian or up. But that's all right. How do you say that?
Yeah, it's hypnosis. It's a form of hypnosis.
Well, so I'm glad you're here to explain it. So there you go. And it's all good. So anyway, regardless, we are here tonight, and Kathy, you're going to tell us all about Starseed Technology. What is it all about? How did you get? My biggest thing is what is a starseed? How'd you figure out? Are you one? And how did you get into all this?
So about a year ago, I was in a coaching group, and the woman who was running it, every month we'd have these meetings, and she was talking about, because it was in November, almost the same time last year, and the Pleiadians were coming through with messages for her to give during the solstice. And the message was pretty specific. And I started following other people like Phil Good, Lori Ladd, and, they're connecting with all of these collectives and these great messages. But a lot of times people don't know how to put all of those things into practice. So this coaching group was about how we need to focus on the hypothalamus and the pineal and the pituitary glands, and people don't really know how to activate those glands. I mean, it's a very specific set of exercises you can do. My background is also like Kundalini yoga, and we do a lot of stuff in the glandular system. So I do have a little bit of a background on how you can work with the organs and the meridians. So, and one was specifically for that, which the message she was giving. So I had just kind of thought, I was like, well, there's a great way that we could probably give these people the information, because all these people are just getting all these downloads. But again, it's tough when you don't know how to put it into practice. So I just kind of had this idea and started classes last year online. And what I really love about the classes is after the 45 minutes, we try to meet online, and then we just talk to each other. So it's like you might be talking to someone in Australia and Japan, and you just kind of connect with other like-minded people. And that's, ideally, that's why I like to do the live classes. And then of course, if you're not in the right time zone, you can always do a recording, but it's really just connect people. And especially like last year, right when it was kind of in the middle of the whole pandemic and shutdown, it was just a great way for people to connect with each other. So, if we have large classes, I just put people in breakout rooms. So it's almost like a small group. Like right now, there'd be maybe 3 or 5 of us all chatting, getting to know each other. And that's activating as well, because, we all have the codes and we all have some information. And so it's like, when we connect with each other, it can be activating, especially in this community. So that's why it's like, I really try to get those people together, and doing that online for the time being until maybe we can meet in bigger groups. And, I'm able to travel all over and do these live. I mean, I do some of the live workshops because I'm in New York, but I'll do them in Connecticut at a yoga studio. So, but yeah, ideally, it's just like, I want everyone just to be together and be happy. And, if they're struggling with something, it's like each week we have a different theme. We connect with the different collective, and, hopefully it helps people heal themselves, meet other people after the class, and then, take it from there. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you know, that's what we're all about, is sharing the information. We realize that here on this, in this community, it's about sharing, you know, because otherwise we're all so isolated regardless. You know, years ago you used to be friends with your neighbor. Now half the people don't know their neighbor. So we're all doing it this way now.
What is so amazing is how you instantly had a solution for a need. And that's profound, and to implement it and to do it. And that's just brilliant. Bravo. Just bravo.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. It's funny. I just come up, that's my creative thing. Like, I'm not an artist, or, you know, like other people have those talents. For me, my creativity comes from like ideas. So I'm always coming up with ideas. Half of them don't work half the time, but it's just like, that's where I get my inspiration from. I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so great if we could do this or whatever? And sometimes I'll run with it. And, you know, this is one of the things I'm just, you know, I feel like I'm just so passionate about. So, and it can just grow in so many directions. But like, again, if it's here to help people, and, you know, right now, and to help heal them. And those are the two most important things, is for us to connect. And the more we heal ourselves, the more the planet heals, and the more we can, you know, ascend and elevate. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your Starseed technology.
Yeah. So each so
I'm
a
like, so
starseed,
excited
like
to hear about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to hear about the Starseed technology.
Yeah, I think I skipped right over that. So starseeds are basically people who have had other lifetimes on other planets. And that's probably anyone here. Even if you don't have a direct recollection or memory, you probably will start to feel deja vu, or you'll just read something, you'll hear a name, and it'll just, you know, activate something in you, and you'll become curious about it. So you most likely were probably aligned with that, or maybe you have a guide from that planet. You might not have even had a life there, but, or maybe you're connected to someone in this lifetime now who had a lifetime on that planet. So yeah, so starseeds are multi-dimensional beings who have had lifetimes on other planets. And the technology is, like I was saying earlier, we are the technology. Everything that we need is inside of us. So we activate it in our bodies, you know, through the glandular system, through the, you know, meridians, through the nervous system. And if like, I think I mentioned to Robert, like if you ever read the book, Bringers of the Dawn, channeled by the Pleiadians, they talk a lot about the nervous system. And again, people don't really know how to activate your nervous system besides stress. Everyone knows how to get stressed, but that's not how you want to activate your nervous system in a way to make you healthier and stronger internally and externally. So we are the technology. So that's basically what it is. Starseed is all of us, and we are the technology. So now it's activating everything in our body to just kind of really solidify our blueprints, or like tap into our divine blueprints. Because again, like I'm saying, like all the blueprint is, and all the DNA is information. So it's the more we express parts of ourselves, and like, and that's the thing, especially all the trauma gets trapped in our body, so you have to release it. So yeah, a lot of people, you know, we have all these different methods, and here's just another method to help release trauma. And you know, we're constantly being traumatized, like people don't even realize it, but you know, from birth, you know, actually the whole process of being birthed is you're like completely secure in your mother's womb, and then you emerge out, it's cold, there's like bright lights in your face, like it's a traumatic thing, because it's like, and then you get cut off and you're like the source of God. And then people don't, I put this together a few years ago. So the doctors take you, and then this is where we have all the issues with comparison. It's like, oh, they're in the 17th percentile for weight, they're in the for height. So as a child, you're still taking in all that information. And so now we're thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. Like it starts from being a baby. So like it's, you know, so we're, like I said, it's like we're being traumatized, and sometimes we don't even realize it. And as an infant, and the doctor is saying all these things about you, you just came onto this earth. And right there we go. We start with the damage.
How you said we are the technology, because boy, that is a fact. I've seen it. I've seen things happen in the body that medicine was, we don't have anything for that. There's nothing for that. There's no options left. Now it's just degenerate. So, you know, I've seen that, and I've seen the technology of the organic body do profound things. So boy, that is a fact. It's like the technology that we already possess is unlike anything that anything man can create.
Yes.
I think I've heard you say before, Trina, that if we concentrate hard enough, we can change our own DNA to whatever we want to make it happen.
I've seen it happen. I've seen people do it. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you regenerate like your entire spinal column with 7 degenerative diseases, and you literally put it back together with your mind in a matter of 30 minutes, that's an alchemical magical process that nothing that we can do can recreate. And even when we can recreate it, it will never be as perfect as the one that you created for yourself inside yourself. None will ever be as perfectly matched as the one your internal pharmacist does for yourself. It's the most divine thing I've ever seen, ever.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you do, what do you do to in your classes to unlock that? With you're talking about you were talking about the DNA stuff. What are you doing? Like, just certain yoga or different yoga?
I mean, so there's movements that we do that will activate different meridians. And there are different breathing techniques. So yeah, so it's like breathing, movement, mudras with the hands, meditation, guided meditation. And then I do some sound healing. I'll have some tuning forks and stuff. So it's really like a combination of things. And and the process from what I do, it's usually like a set of exercises to create a certain experience. So again, everyone's different and everyone has different things going on in their body, but ideally, like, this is what's supposed to happen. And that's like the theme. Like last week I did creating magnetic fields with the rainbow starseeds. So we were creating magnetic fields, doing certain things with our hands, with our shoulders, and just like opening the heart up. So, cause it's the biggest transmitter. So I mean, there's simple, most of it depends. I mean, cause a lot of it's probably like in a seated position. It's not hard things to do. And again, if there's anything that you can't physically do, just again, like Trina was saying, like even you could just visualize it, and your mind doesn't know like if you're actually doing it or not. Like, so
yeah,
it just
true. That's true. Yeah, I've seen stroke damage, face dropping and stuff. I've seen that repaired with like doing just light visualization and trance work, where you just lay down and visualize and use gold light or whatever you want to do, but basically walk the person through a process that puts them into an imaginative state. And through that process, they repair their bodies. It's profound, the things that we literally can do inside of our own selves, and all these different tools like the breathing and the yoga and the Reiki and just all of it. All these are just different bridges to access the same frequencies. And it's about getting into the higher parts of the mind and the whole energy field, finding balance and healing.
Yeah. Well, and then once you start doing that, we even did things where we got the whole collective of us together and like made it rain.
Yeah. And we stopped the house from burning.
Yes, the house was burning, and we stopped that.
We had some really great successes.
Yes, no, you're Kathy, you are right on the right track, and we'd love to learn more about that too, because every little bit you got pieces of the puzzle, we got pieces of the puzzle, and when we put them all together, we're going to make a really good puzzle. And I like that, because we've been talking about a lot about health lately ourselves, and talking about the chakras, and getting it's, and I'm more of a guy, so I talk about it like a car.
Right.
you know, right, Trina. And so, you know, I'm describing like, you know, if you got the motor and it's running, you got to have the axles, you got to put the grease in there, you know, and everything has to turn. And if you got a bearing that's going bad, that's going to make one of the wheels or your tie rod ain't right. The wheel's going to be wobbly, and, you know, you're still going to have the car, but it's not going to handle so good. But that's you yourself, you know, and if you're not aligned right, if you're not eating right, if you're not thinking right, you're not in the right frequency, you can't do any of that because you're broken.
Yes.
How do you get back?
And that's the thing. It's like, and that's great. You can relate it because there's probably a lot of men out there who don't know, but if you're using that as an analogy, then they'll understand it. And that's the thing, you know, it's interesting. Like when you were saying that, I immediately thought of, I was listening to one of Dolores Cannon videos, and she was talking about like, that's how Jesus started, because the wisdom from the Torah was like so over everyone's heads. He's like, I'm just going to give people parables and like talk about nature so they get it, you know, and that's the important thing. As long as people can get it, if you explain it like a car or whatever, I mean, and that's what was making me think earlier. You were saying, and I was like, you know what the interesting thing is? It's like we're on the cusp because there's so many people. We're only what, like maybe 20% of the population of the world that's like actually awake. And I think that's even a high estimate, you know? So it's like in the next few years, I mean, we're already at the forefront. We're already going to be the leaders because we're already aware of this. So it's just like, think about in the next 5 years, how much it's going to change and how much like everyone here, everyone watching is, you know, so informed. Like you're good. Everyone has their mission, but like your mission is also going to help all those people that are waking up catch up. And, you know, it's great that you guys are all here tuned in and watching all these other videos on YouTube, because it's like, we have to help the rest of these people bridge the gap, you know, and then the more people wake up and the more, but it's like, you know, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, I spent like, as soon as my awakening happened, I just spent all year, like I kind of put all my other goals on hold, and I was just researching everything, going down every rabbit hole, because I'm like, I need to know this stuff. And as a teacher, people are going to come to me with questions, and I'm friends with a lot of normies, and, you know, it's like, I knew it was going to come out at some point. So I just, you know, I save all my articles. I have my whole like library of stuff. So when they're ready to talk about it, here's some information for you. So
that's a great way to give it to them too. Here's some information. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about something there to trip my brain for a second, and I got to get it out before I lose it. Anyway, but the point is, you were talking about getting other people and how I described the car, and I could relate to guys. And, you know, and I'm sure you're girls and you can't relate to a car thing, but a guy can. And when he hears stuff come out of your mouth, he's like, oh, this love and light. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it before. Oh, that love and light crap, you know, and they just can't get it. But a lot of other people can't either. So a lot of people learn by seeing, or they believe because they see. So my suggestion, and I guess is if you can't show them, like say, here, I believe in this ball, it's a ball, see, it's round. Well, you can't show them and say, you know, you're a starseed, or you're this, or you're that. But if you do it to yourself and say, I'm going to eat better, and I'm going to think better, and I'm going to be better, and it's going to radiate out of you, that's your proof. Look at me. Look what I did. Look how good I'm doing. Look at all the stuff I can do, and you can't.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because you got more consciousness. This process opens up consciousness, and consciousness is a superpower. So.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
And more, and that's the idea. It's like the more we do, the more we learn, the more consciousness, and the more we're open, and you know, the more information we could take in, and then we transcend it, and then, you know, and then other people will just want to be around you and like come into your field, because it's like, what, like you were saying before, it's like, what are they doing? Like, what are they up to? They get curious, and that's really the way to, you know, help wake people up and just help get them, you know, up to date on everything, is, you know, be the example, you know, do all those things. So
yes.
And everyone does it in a different way. So
yes, absolutely.
Yes. A different way. Yeah. And the simple one, remember that old trick where you go, what's that? And everybody looks up.
Look up, yeah.
You know, it's the same effect. So the big thing is just, you know, be yourself, but be the best self you can be. And that's the thing. That's what we're always talking about. And Kathy, I think you're doing that. You're showing people how to be the best self they can be. That's the hard work, and inspiring them to do these things, and getting them on board once you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really just shifting your mindset, and it's just even that simple. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with a friend earlier this week, and it's something that I think this is what makes me so healthy. I haven't taken prescription drugs in 10 plus years. I don't, you know, the thing is, anytime someone's talking to me, and Trina could probably appreciate this because she's all into trance stuff, is when someone says something that I know could be harmful, I say cancel, clear, delete. And I'm sure people out in the audience have probably heard that phrase before. But when people are saying like, oh, so-and-so got sick, like as soon as they're saying it, in my head, I'm thinking cancel, clear, delete. Oh, my friend lost their job, cancel, clear, delete. Or this, or like I fell down a flight of stairs, cancel, clear, delete. Because that stuff gets imprinted on our brain. People don't understand how malleable our consciousness is. So this is why we have a pandemic, because oh, I was near Aunt Susie. Aunt Susie's sick. I'm going to get sick. And as I'm saying this in my head, I'm going cancel, clear, delete. But that honestly, I feel like is the biggest saving grace I've had for years. I've really retrained. I've just rewired my brain so I don't get sick. It's cancel, clear, delete.
Works. That straight up works.
That simple.
Absolutely.
But I'm doing it all day, every day. Every time someone says something to me, I'm like, cancel, clear, delete. As something that I know that is just fake news, whatever, I'm like, cancel, clear, delete. I don't need to get, and I'm not impressing any of that on my consciousness. So
that's beautiful, because you're taking absolute control over the programs that you're going to take into your cerebral cortex, into your crown. Did you guys know that we have magnetic crystal points specifically around our cortex, our neocortex, and they literally look like a crown of thorns?
Wow.
That's cool.
That
is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's put up.
It's so funny because it's just like, so recently I moved and I was going through like all my notes for like the last 10 years. And back in the day, I was like a personal trainer, and I went to a regular, normal, like fitness conference. And this guy's talking about how the connective tissue and fascia in our body is crystal. It's like crystallized. So we're talking about like getting a crystalline body. It's like, we actually already have it. It's inside. I was like, this guy is like this normal guy 10 plus years ago talking about a crystalline body. And like, here I am finally like catching up in like 2019, 2020. I'm like, wow, I actually got this information 10 years ago, had no idea what he was talking about. And now I'm like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I'm like, we already are that crystalline body. And that's why when I was talking earlier about like the nervous system, it's like, there's the things that we do in Starseed Technology that you can just, you know, tap into that, because we are like, we're coming out of the more carbon-based bodies that we were born with, and you know, so, and we are turning into more of the light bodies, but we're already there. We're already mostly there. And I'm like, wow, it's interesting. Sometimes you hear something and then it doesn't resonate, and then 10 years later you're like, oh, that makes so much sense, you know.
Well, think about all those things that are crystal in our world. We've had quite a few people on. Mandy Moo was big into crystals. Oh man, she's got so much knowledge on crystals. I mean, I can't even fathom to think about it all. But everything around us, you know, from our cell phone here has got crystals in it to make it work. And for years we had the crystal quartz watch. Watches have jewels in them, you know, crystals in them to make them work. Everything, salt, we need salt to live, and that's you know, it's crystals. Salt is crystal. It's a mineral. All the minerals are crystals. And
it's a way to transport light, information. And literally we have the most ultimate antenna is being a human being. And like you're saying, the fascia of the body, that interstitial fluid that connects all the fascia tissue, it's like liquid light, and it's filled with the ability to receive and code the body, which eventually receives and codes the environment.
Yes. Max Vision says we are stacked crystals.
Yeah.
Interesting thought. I think she froze up. She said she was having a storm in her area. She'll
Oh,
come back
was
on.
she? Okay.
Yeah, she's in.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
a little bit of lag, and I was wondering if she was having internet difficulties.
Yeah, she's on the East Coast, so she
Okay.
might have but I told her if she has problems, just come right back in.
Yeah. Yep.
No
Pull it
worries.
right back in.
Um,
That's very, this crystalline structure and this crystalline grid and all of this crystalline stuff. And it's like talking about transforming into that. I think that might be the trick, because I'm pretty sure we already are. As she was saying, we already are crystalline. I know that we are. I don't know if we need to transform into anything. And the thing about when you raise your vibration, that changes the dimension. It literally changes the dimensions. So because it changes your visual perception. So if you vibrate high enough, I wouldn't be able to see you anymore, Robert. I would see the next layer. I wouldn't be able to see. It would shift everything, and it's about vibration. So it's very interesting when you're looking at dimensions. It's like it's all here, but we can't perceive or tap into those other frequencies because of our limited spectrum of visual light that we're locked into. I mean, it's profound to know the possibilities of fully connecting to all that's around us, because I know if it's here, we have the ability to do so. But if you did that too, it might freak you out, because you would see things that nobody else could see, and you would see a lot of things that you probably had no idea existed. So that's also just warning.
this is probably true.
Yeah.
You'd have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself. I mean, how many people see a ghost and the other person doesn't see it, or little kids. We've talked about this before. Little kids see ghosts. They see different things. Animals see different things. But yet as adults, we're so hardened in our lives and stuff that we've forgotten how to see. I guess that's.
Yeah. And that's what they say, the schizophrenic people, they can actually see different dimensions, and that's, but they drug them and they put them on all this stuff, but it's like they actually have that ability, and the doctors don't understand that, and they put them in a hospital. So
yeah, I think a lot of schizophrenics are literally able to see all kinds of different things that we can't. And also, I think one of the more, even so than seeing, is they get the audio part, is they hear. And they can't get the voices to shut up, because I think somehow they're tapping into all of their different fractals.
I mean, how many people see a ghost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's everybody is a different frequency, because you can tell by the different people. Some people are really kind and gentle and sweet and nice people, and then when you meet up with somebody who's not, you can almost, if you're of that being a lighthearted, higher frequency person, you can just tell a negative person without even speaking to them. You can just feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. It hits you. Just hits your system. Your system knows.
So, Kathy, what kind
of
experiences?
And that's important, because that's like, that goes. Yeah. Well, that actually goes into like my martial arts experience. Like when I teach like self-defense, it's like, you can get a feeling if you feel like you're in danger, like listen to it. But as women, a lot of times we'll talk ourselves out of it, because especially if we feel uncomfortable, just say like if a stranger approaches us, even though you have the gut feeling you're uncomfortable, the energy is there. We feel like, okay, well, we have to be polite. We have to, if they're asking for directions, even though they're doing it to like, maybe, cross a line or something. So it's just the like, and so like half the things in self-defense is telling people to trust their gut. And that goes across the board with everything. And that's why I feel like when Trina, I think it was maybe before we hopped on, and she was talking about like she had her near-death experiences and talking with the doctors and stuff. It's like she trusted her gut. Like she knew she had to go a holistic path. And so many people now doubt themselves on what's right for them, because they hear someone on TV say you need to do this, or they get influenced by somebody else, and nobody's listening to their own intuition. And that, even before I had my awakening, was like probably my main message, is like everyone just needs to listen to yourself, because that's the most important thing. And we're getting so bombarded with all this information across the board, and you know, it's that might not be right for you just because someone else thinks that you need to do something. And so, yeah, I mean,
Temple
hopefully
of
now
Delphi.
maybe this,
Ancient oracle,
this
know thyself.
Mhm,
Oh, such an important,
exactly.
powerful. I don't, because there's nobody like you. So, wow.
Yes.
I mean, really? I mean, yeah, it's nice to get to know other people in the world, but when you really understand that you don't understand who you are, that's a really fun thing to dive into and say, who am
Yeah.
I? That's
And the sad
fun.
thing is, yeah. And the sad thing is, it's like we are trained from children to ignore, like, we're just trained not to think anymore. And it's funny because there's actually studies that NASA, I mean, yeah, I know NASA, but that everyone's a genius at 4 years old. And then when they go into the school system, you actually, there's only like maybe 1% that's still considered a genius because they take that, they strip it away from us.
Yep.
So, you know, it's
Well,
unfortunate
think about
because
it. Think about it. What's the first thing they teach you? Spelling. What do witches do? They cast
Yeah.
spells.
Yes.
And then what do you learn
Mhm.
next? Cursive. The writing that doesn't break the lines is how you make sigils. It's all witchcraft.
Mm. Yeah.
It's insanity.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's sad because it's like, and most of us, you know, back growing up, we didn't know any better. Our parents didn't know any better. So it's like that's how we grew up. And
Yeah, and that's
now
how
we
they
have all
grew
those
up.
years of conditioning. Yeah. And now we have to clear out all that stuff that, you know, we've taken on in all those years. So yeah, that's part of what we do in Starseed Technology. It's like, you know, help to clear out all the crap.
Yeah,
You know,
and
so.
unpack what you lost from your childhood. And that's such a
Mhm.
beautiful thing to do, is because that's really who you really are. Is that's kind of what you want to look at. If you're like, who am I? Go there, start there, because that's usually a really great place to start, because that is kind of who you are. And you're right. When you're little, you see, you literally, you're connected to the laws and the life of spirit, as well as the laws and the life of the physical world. You're learning the physical world, but you already know the laws of the spiritual world.
Mhm.
You know it. So we lose it. You're right. They beat it out of us. It's just taken layer by layer. And I think the body construct itself, I think it's been modified specifically to make sure that happens. So I think it's a profound thing that we experience with the forgetting of who we are as we age in this reality.
Mhm.
Speaking
Yeah, I
of,
mean, have a conversation with a 3-year-old. They're so fascinating, you know, and they'll
They
tell you like they see God, they know God, they see this and that. And it's like, you know, the parents usually, if they're not awake or just, you know, but like even my friend, her daughter's, well, she's probably more like 6 or 7. She just saw an Andromedan starship in the sky the other day. You know, she showed her like in a book. She's like, is this what it looked like? She's like, yeah. And then like they're golden. She's like, oh yeah, I had a dream about the golden lady. That's what she looked like, you know, but luckily her mom's awake. So she's not like, oh, this, you know, my kid's crazy, you know, and her daughter's also seen a mantis, like, cause my friend has had these like mantis beings around her. So it's like little kids are tapped in. Like I'm kind of a little jealous, you know, like
But
I
see,
wish I was when I was.
you can open that back up. Start to work with your
Yeah.
inner child. Seriously, like you said, it's
Yeah.
about conditioning your brain, and now you have the proof and evidence, because now cancel, clear, delete, and that's working for you on many levels. So you can do that, and that's what you do when you reconnect with that part of yourself. It's like going through a photo album. A picture brings back 1,000 words. It's kind of like that. And when you work with your inner child, you reconnect to the frequency of when you were a child. And that's all you need to start to remember how to process the environment as a child, is grabbing a hold of what it felt like to be that child. So that's a place to start for many minds. Go be that child and see where you land from there. Because it's, like you said, the smartest part of us. Just is.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
kids are amazing.
Yeah.
so how, I mean, I know how I connect with my inner child. I mean, I spent a lot of time doing it. I would stand there and I would think real hard. I'd close off my mind and think of little pieces of my past when I was a kid, like riding my bicycle or going down the driveway. And little by little, I started remembering more and more details about when I was younger. And every time it was like, felt like I closed my eyes and I could literally feel like I was right there. And I could look around and imagine every little detail, the seats of the car, or the, what was under my bed, or what was in the little drawers I had. And I'm like, man, I'd forgotten all about that,
Yeah.
Just weird, crazy stuff. Kathy, have you ever done that?
Yeah, I mean, I've done some like inner child meditations, and yeah, I've had some like images, and then there's things that like I'll want to go back to, like moments, and kind of like figure out like what was I doing or why was I thinking that, because now I've created a program or a conditioning where I'm trying to heal that now, either through like one thing. It's funny because I was talking about it recently. I guess it was again during a coaching session with my coach, and we were talking about how when I was born, I had a sister who died right before me. And when I was pretty young, at like 3 or 4, I just took on like, well, because my parents lost a child, I have to do twice as much to make up for the lost child. So like I would go above and beyond, create these unrealistic expectations, and then never achieve them because I'm trying to do it for 2 people. So it's like sometimes, and I know I consciously created that program when I was a young kid. So it's like, I have to go back now to that moment so I can like reprogram myself, because I don't need that. Like I didn't need to take that on,
That's where I've seen the inner child be able to create miracles with people. When they go into like hypnosis, the like trance states where you're conscious, you're having a communication with them while they're doing this process, and they're using the imagination. But you can see, like in that process, you could bring in your sister and speak to her and put her on the couch with your inner child. They're present with you, and as much as the more real it gets, is the more healing happens. But that's what I've seen miracles happen, is through the guidance of the inner child. You bring forth the people or the situation that's causing you the program or the trauma, and when you learn more about that event, it shifts the way you think about it. It doesn't change it, it doesn't erase it, it doesn't undo it, it doesn't do anything like that, but you see it from a higher position. As soon as you do that, it changes the neural pathways in the brain, so it can't travel down that trauma route anymore. So you still have all the information, but now there's a different part to it, and it's a bigger piece, and it makes a lot of sense, and it's right. So now you believe it in a different part of your brain, and that in its own creates alchemical change in the body, and changes the DNA and heals the program. So you are so doing the right work. You're doing the right work. You're so on track, because this is where you're going to see like miracles. When it's somebody's day to heal. Oh wow, what a gift. What a gift for the person that gets to see it. I've experienced my own, which is really awesome, but to witness it, I think it's equal or greater. So sign up for those. Sign up for those. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I mean, and luckily it's like, I just follow my intuition of like, what do I need next? Or like following the right person, like the right teacher, or right, maybe a YouTube video or whatever. It's just like following my own intuition and then getting the messages that I need in that moment. So, I feel very grateful that I've been able to like, and it's funny because I think that's like really my life path numbers of 5. So it's the Hierophant and tarot, but it's really about being spiritual and being connected to your spirituality, which a lot of us, not a lot of us, not in this community, but the rest of the world is just cut off from that. They don't even realize you're a spiritual being first. You just have a body here to serve a purpose, but most, like at least half the country thinks it's like, you're born, you have a body, you get a job, you die, and like, they don't really go in, even try to explore that. I mean, it's just a little too far off for them, and
it's so amazing though, because now that you've awakened, you're gonna see it's gonna start to surround and encompass your life. So you're going to be surrounded by only awakened people, probably in a very short window of time, because I can tell how focused your mind is. You're probably just going to lasso them all around you. So
I mean, it's been like, it was probably March 2019 when I've always, there's certain things I've always believed, like especially the holistic path, like, certain aspects about, I guess ghosts and paranormal, and then like aliens, and then like, cover-ups and, things that they're not disclosing. But it was like really March 2019 where I just understood and pieced everything together. And so now I'm like, okay, now I get the full picture. Or I was just getting snippets. Yeah. So now it was like,
how did that happen for you in 2019?
It's kind of funny, right? So I was big on LinkedIn, social platform, and I was posting a lot about, because in New York State, the media was trying to create a measles outbreak when there wasn't one. And then it was interesting because that was 2019. And then all of a sudden they took away religious exemptions for kids because, the Hasidic Jews don't like to get their kids, injected with, chemicals. So like the governor at the time was got a huge, about $25 million from one of the big pharma companies and took away religious exemptions. So, but during that, I was posting a lot on LinkedIn. Someone had seen all these types of posts. I was, saying that, like, I don't know what the media is doing. This doesn't make any sense. It's not even going to help them, whatever. And she sent me a private message. We ended up having like a 10-minute conversation, but I don't know, we just really connected in that moment. And it's funny because we'll always call each other like a soul sister. Yeah. But then she sent me a video, and it was David Wilcock. And I was like, oh yeah, I know him from Ancient Aliens. Sure, I know who he is. But at the end, he started talking about like the ritual abuse. And I was like, what? And then that whole next day, I just went online and just like, I was like, what have I, it was the biggest rabbit hole.
Oh boy.
And then, and I was like, oh, the NW. Yeah. Oh, now they control all of it. Oh, I get it now. Okay. So now it all makes sense because none of this was making sense. It's like, why would they censor things? And why this? And why can't people know about holistic stuff? And now I understand, like, there's a group of people who don't want you to know this information. I'm like, well, now I know. So now I know what I need to do. And then of course, last year when I was posting stuff that they didn't like, they wiped me off LinkedIn. So, I had 15,000 followers or connections. And then I was posting stuff about, it's funny because what I did was, it was one of these videos where a doctor was talking exactly what was going on at the time, and how the 5G was, influencing it. And I tagged, because it was ballsy of me, but I tagged everyone I could think of. So I tagged like Katie Couric, she has a profile on there. I was tagging like the CEO of LinkedIn, because it's not just them who will see it, but it's their whole network. So it's the like 10,000 people connected with. So I went and I researched who are the 20 most important people on LinkedIn. So I tagged all of them in it. Within 24 hours, it disappeared, of course. And then they let me have it back, but then I erased all their names because I figured, well, obviously some of them had to have seen it if I got, it went black. And then a month later, they just locked me out of the system. I had to scan my license front and back just to figure out what was the problem was. And then it's like, I'm fighting, going back and forth with probably some 25-year-old college graduate from like, Dartmouth or something. And I'm trying to explain to him what the science and the technology is behind what's going on. And he's just, typing from his script that I've gone against community standards and whatever. So, and of course it was right before the election, so they weren't going to let me back on. So I was like, all right, I'll get my message out another way.
That's amazing. Good for you not to just give up, but just to say, boo-rah, I'll find another way. Good for you. I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's did it wreck you when you realized everything was backwards and upside down?
It hurt my soul. Like I could barely that's part of like, it's funny because like, that's when I think about like when I went through that like dark night of the soul, it's like, you're so dense and heavy in your body. This is why it's like, part of what I do is to get people moving, get them like, because you have to release it once, because you're taking all of this stuff into your physical body. Now you need to like, let it out, because otherwise then that's what's going to cause disease and everything else. So, I just felt so heavy. Like I could barely move, it was, I remember because it was like hard. A Friday, Yeah, Saturday, the whole day Saturday, and then like Sunday, I like tried to even just like go to the gym just to move, just to get it out of my body. It was tough. It was so
it's rough. Yeah, I've had a few different layers of awakening because you're not done yet, and it's going to continue.
I know.
Oh, let me tell you, and some of them are rough. It's rough. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. When you start to wake up stuff, and you want to go and tell everybody, and everybody's just like, "What are you talking about?" Like they're still asleep. You're like talking to people, like, "Wake up! You know what's happening?" And they're like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Now I just let the memes do all the talking. You know, I post all the memes like everybody else, and then I'll post stuff here and there. And again, it's like most of my connections that are, they're mostly the normal people. It goes, right over their heads. They probably unfollowed me and whatever. But eventually, like things will click for them too. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I think you're right. And every single person that's doing what you're doing and waking up and looking at different layers of this reality, your frequency is changing the world. So thank you for waking up.
Yeah.
Well, you're touching so many people.
I mean, according to the astrologers, February 2022 is going to be pretty huge for the US. Like that's when the Pluto return is going to be in the chart where it's never been in, because like countries can have a Pluto return, like a Saturn return, but people don't because it's 246 years, I think. So yeah, there could be a lot happening in February next year. And actually someone that I follow, she had said there's probably gonna be another huge awakening for the younger like starseeds that are like 18, 19. And it could be the ones who have gotten the shot because it's like maybe they have a side effect and now all of a sudden something in them might awaken and they'll realize the lie that they've been living in too for the last 17, 18 years or however old they are. So
since I was little, when I was little, the Lord told me to pay attention to that date. It was always interesting. It always showed me 22, 22, 22, 2, 22, 22. I was like, what is this? I always. And interesting this week though, because this number's been flashing for years for me. And now lots of people are starting to pick up on it and talk about it. And I just saw something on TikTok today, and Alexa stated that they said, what's going to happen on 2/22/22? And she said, the Antichrist would be born at 2:22 a.m. in the morning, and it would be the end of us all. So that kind of blew my mind. I was like, what? Are you serious right now? So yeah, this is
that was a TikTok video?
Yeah, and that was if you ask her right now what, and if it's not gone already, but that's what she was saying, and yeah, many people recorded it. So yeah, on that day. So I was like, oh, well, sugar and spice, wow. But everything here is about perfect opposite. So if that one's coming in, the other one I bet is too.
Yeah, you got to have that balance
side of it. Yeah,
got to have the balance, and if something gets out of balance, everything goes to crap.
Yep. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty interesting, and that will be the end of us all. And it was like interesting, very interesting.
Saying that's yeah, I know. I study it plenty too, and some days it just wears me out. But I can't talk about it all the time. I have to move on, and other people don't like to talk. It just drags you down, and I do that too much sometimes. I really do.
Everything is backwards and upside down. So it's like you always got to look at that. So in actuality, if everything was not what we thought and we were taught everything backwards, that would actually be our saving grace. So like I said, all names and titles and crap aside, we don't know. We don't know. This could be the greatest thing to ever happen to the world. We don't know. So, I think the greatest thing that's going to happen to the world is if we can actually create that. And that's going to be through using our imagination and our ability to project vision. So, I think it's getting close for us to really start to strap on our warrior garb and start projecting and really focusing on good things in the world that you want to see. and sending that out into this world, because I think it's going to be really important that we're doing that right now. Really important.
Yeah, I think we're due for a shift. I can definitely feel it. I think things have shifted a little bit, but I think we're ready for another huge transition. So hopefully for the good.
I had a session one time with a person, and his daughter, she I don't know if she got hit by an energy or what, but this thing took over her, and she went to my coffee table and she grabbed a picture Bible. She started prophesizing out of the Bible, and she said some very interesting things, and she said at the very end of that through the violet light, and when the angels come back to the earth and touch the earth and kiss the earth, she said that all of this would be accomplished because we would turn Satan into the greatest source of love known throughout the universe.
Yeah, I think we're due for a shift.
Talk about a shift. Wow.
Yeah.
That would be one hell of a shift.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a shift.
So that's pretty big.
Kindness,
that was,
as they say, kill them with kindness.
well, wouldn't that be the absolute if it was a complete flip of everything, a complete flip of polarity? That would be bringing something that was negative and vengeful and stuff. It would turn it into the opposite of that. So I could see how scientifically, energetically, and spiritually all that could happen, because that's a definition of when you heal trauma.
Yeah.
That happens when you heal trauma. Is it that simple? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to, and that's the big thing, is we have to learn to love ourselves, because every time we're saying something bad about ourselves, it's like we're sinning. And then it's like, it's separating us from God. So it's like, we just need to focus on ourselves. We need to heal ourselves, and that will help create the love for everyone outside. The more we create it inside ourselves. And unfortunately, not a lot of people out there really do love themselves,
No.
Well, here's a question for you. What is love? How do you explain love to somebody? People, how many people get married because they, oh, I love you, and then a week later they're divorced or something like that. I mean, I love tea, but that doesn't, what does that mean? What does it really mean? How do you explain that to somebody? How do I know that people love their cell phone? They can't live without it. But is that addiction?
Well, I think it transcends the ego. Yeah, it transcends the ego, and you're not attached. You're not attached. Like your cell phone, you might be attached to, because if you lose it, then you might get stressed and freaked out. But if you're not attached to it, it's like, that's like one of the yoga practices. It's like attached detachment. So it's like, there's no expectations of any outcome. You just love. You're in harmony with yourself and that thing. And a cell phone can't love you back, so you're not in harmony with it, really. I mean, that would be my explanation, but a plant you can love, and the plant can love you back, because that has a live consciousness. I mean, everything has consciousness. I mean, the phone does have a consciousness, but you're just not in harmony with it because the frequencies are different, I think.
Well,
and and it's more of an ego thing. The like the phone, the person, that's a, again, people, they love people all the time, but sometimes it might be a karmic connection. It could be the twin flame. It could be a soulmate. There's so many different dynamics in a relationship. It makes it a little more challenging, especially when you use that word. So,
that's it's hard to get that across to people.
I see love is it's got both sides of it. It's got the dark part of it, and it's got the light part of it, because you can love in an essence that's more magnetic, which is obsessive compulsive. I have to have it. I will kill anybody in order to obtain it and keep it as my own. Then there's the other opposite end of love that heals you, supports you, loves you, embraces the positive parts. So everything has its two sides of the same coin. So what I keep seeing is that love is either pulling or it's projecting. And it seems that most people, when they fall in love, they've literally magnetized, they've pulled an attraction of an idea or an image that they had in their mind to their reality. And through that magnetic attraction, which is what starts the relationship, I think that's where everything gets messed up, is because through the magnetics, you were pulling to bring it into the relationship. But once it's there, you don't know how to stop pulling and start pushing. Because when you're pushing, you're projecting. And to be in love, to continue love, it has to be fed. It can't be sucked. It has to be pushed, but it has to have balance. So it's like, I think most people get stuck in this falling out of love, and we lose love, and a lot of love, it gets destroyed, is because we've always been taught that it's a receiving aspect, and we've never been taught about the part that needs to be created. Because truly, if you have a balanced love, you're going to be emanating and receiving, emanating and receiving. We've lost the laws of harmony and rhythm, which is part of what's happened to us as a whole, because we've lost the proper tones in our world. Even the frequency for the radio is set at a frequency that harms us. 440 harms people, 432 heals people. So everything about the sound is needs to shift. And all of the sound is activated, and all of the color and all of the light is activated through 528 hertz, which is the frequency of love. So we need to turn love into its highest aspect. And we can do that through pushing and pulling love frequencies that are balanced and harmonizing, and projecting technology 528 love frequency hertz into the world. I think if we do all that, we're going to have a lot of questions about love answered on so many levels, if we can finally have access to it. Because if we don't have sound right, I don't even know if we can hear it properly.
I got a good one for you. Zigzagzilla says, love is harmony. Nature builds in harmony with no expectations in return. Yes. Unconditional space, heart is green, nature is green, heart, earth.
Yes. And that's what I think. I think by them shifting the frequencies of the world, it's like they've cut off our antenna to a lot of this love that we should be naturally bathing in. And I think it's literally been hijacked, to put us into a lower vibrating frequency, so we don't have access to the love and the higher mind and all the beautiful things that go with that. So yeah, the love thing right now is coming in huge for me, for a message for humanity to fix things, is to flood the world with 528 hertz frequency and gratitude. Love and gratitude will win.
Yeah. You give gratitude to everything around you. As we do around here, we do a lot of favor. I give favor to my animals, my storehouses. If I have the sheet up here somewhere, but anyway, and I'd read that off. But giving thanks to like your food before you eat it. Here I got a beautiful tomato. Thank you, tomato. Thank you for letting me eat you. Give me nutrition. You don't have to be one of these people who pray over and do all the things. Who cares? You just have to give it thanks. Thank you for giving me nutrition. The life force that's in that orange or that apple or that whatever food that is that you're eating. Giving thanks to it, and then that life force will transfer into you, and then you can radiate out with that.
See, everything's about an exchange. Exchange of light.
And then because everything's is a crystal factor in there, the whole world rotates on that crystal stuff. The crystals in the earth, we've had people talk about the crystals in the earth that contain whatever, I can't even remember it all, but
they're receiving so much information, sending too, but they're receiving. And if we start flooding everything, it's just like when the oil got spilled off the coast, Hutchinson did the experiment and blasted the coral reefs with the frequencies to heal it. And the radio stations got called by the higher ups. They're like, if you ever do that again, we'll take your licenses away, yada, yada, yada. But literally, 7 days later, the fish started coming back into the coral reef and it regenerated and it came back to life, even though it got stopped in the middle of the experiment.
Mhm.
This is how powerful this stuff can be. And this is, I think that we're getting close to where a lot of people are going to start recognizing a lot of these things are harming us, and that we really do have the opportunity to put the things into our reality that help us. So, because I've been feeling like frequency's been getting really feisty and aggressive this last week. How about you all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
definitely noticed that. Yeah.
Me too. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time this week.
Yeah.
Yes. I know, man, like myself, any little thing goes wrong and I just want to almost snap. What is that? Why? I
That's
don't know. It's like
that's
I'm
frequency, and it's it could be your own stuff, but it can be frequency too that makes it's called agitation. It's you're already so overstimulated, this smallest little thing will set you off.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Can't find my
Creating agitation, which is
this or that.
friction, which creates energy, and energy needs to release, and that's why you want to just agitation.
Yeah, that's me. I gotta find ways that oh man, Kathy, we wanted to talk so much about stuff. I still wanted to talk about past lives. What you were saying, you had some past life stuff. And if you want to hit on that a little bit, we've talked about that here on this channel before, but that's fascinating. Do you have anything for us on that?
Yeah, well, I did my QHHT training, the quantum healing hypnosis technique. So I was doing sessions with people. Then I was practicing with people who also did the training. So I did a few sessions myself. What was interesting though, one of the sessions I did with someone, so I was the hypnotist and the client was laying on my bed. He went to a lifetime, like he was like a caveman or something, right? So then he leaves the next day in the morning. This is at the time I was living in New York City. So I was taking a shower and I had a tick in my head on my hair. I'm like, he brought it back from that past life. Like, I was like, how do I get it to in New York City? I live on a 6th floor, elevator building. I don't have pets. I don't have animals. And I'm like, how the hell do I get a tick in New York City on my head? And I'm like, oh my God, he brought it from a past life. And he was like laying in my bed. So so that was a weird story about somebody else's past life that I was involved with. And that was interesting though, doing all these sessions. And for anyone who does the training, they don't teach you how to protect yourself. The client goes into protection like in a white pyramid, but the practitioner doesn't, unless you know to do that, which I wasn't really at the time. So I think I was traveling with all these people into these past lives. So I have a friend who does like clearings, and she tapped into my like auric field. I had 22 entities in my astral field. I had an ET implant in my throat. I had a demon attached to me. And I don't know, I had a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, and I was like, I think it's because I was going in and out of these worlds with these people, not really being aware of it. Because
Exactly. Yes.
And, just reading the script and like asking questions. And then all of a sudden, I have no consciousness or awareness. And then like, my friend who does his energy, like, clearings, she's just like, oh, you have all this stuff attached to you. And I'm like, well, yeah, so that was a little crazy. But yeah, so like my past lives, like I had one, well, I mean, through a reading through another like channeler, like they told me I've had past lives in Lemuria and like Atlantis, Andromeda, Arcturus, the Pleiades. And then I have a Pleiadian higher self and stuff. And then the sessions that I did, one that was interesting was I did go to probably like Atlantis and Lemuria, and I was like in the water, and then I saw like a UFO come and like take a dolphin like out of the water. Like I was watching this, and then like I went to this temple. So it's interesting. And then it's what's interesting about
you want some confirmation on what you saw?
Yeah.
I had a past life in Atlantis, and the ships used to go and retrieve the dolphins.
Oh,
and
really?
They were taken into the healing chambers because we knew Atlantis was sinking. We knew that there were problems, and we were trying to preserve consciousness, and we were doing it using the dolphins, but the dolphin would have to agree. So we would bring it in and explain to it. We wanted to insert consciousness into the sentient being so they could continue it forth on the planet so it could recode. And so that was why they were being taken from the sea by the ships.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely interesting to witness because like the first past life I did, it was just like a normal, like I think I was probably like in Vietnam or Malaysia or something, and just like worked in a rice field and, you know, and then died like, you know, like an older woman. And, but it was cool because like you could see the spirit leaving the body. And that's the whole thing with the QHHT sessions is like, you're supposed to witness the death scene because there's usually lots of answers associated with your actual passing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting process, you know, and then
I do journey work, Brandon Bates journey work. So that's what I've worked with, but I've been trained in some QHHT, and I almost trained with Dolores Cannon before she passed. I literally had registered for her event. So yeah, that is a powerful thing to get into the mind like that. That's where I said I see miracles happen. You get information about yourself you had no idea about. So this is the most powerful therapy I've ever seen in my life. And I've done so many different kinds, but when you get into the mental stuff, that's where you really, really see some amazing things happen.
Yeah. And then what's interesting, which again, it's like I went through the training, but then I pieced together later on listening to another podcast, and they were talking about like witnessing, and then it's like, and then I was thinking of that double blind slit experiment. So like, and I was like, oh, that makes sense now. Like that physics experiment where two people can watch it and changes the reality of the like molecules that are moving, you know? So it's like when you witness something, it changes. So it's interesting that I was like, oh, that makes sense now. That's why you have to witness, you have to watch the actual death scene, even though people, you know, could be traumatic. You could be getting killed and murdered and whatever. Yeah. But, you know, you're doing it from an observer point of view, so it shouldn't be as traumatic, but that it is, you're changing it's like, it's a whole physics thing, you know? And like you were saying earlier about how like the neural pathways, it's like changing the route of how it's traveling now.
Yes.
Pathways. So
yeah, and it can't cause you that pain no more. You don't get that gut wrenching, you know, it's gone. You can think about it and try to recreate it, and you're like, oh, you can't make it happen, because before it happened automatically.
Yeah,
now it's gone, but none of the memories are messed up. But now you see it in a from a broader place, but it's still the same. You know, it's amazing how it works that way. And that's why it's been one of my favorite modalities, is because it is so gentle and it doesn't program. And because I don't want to install programs. So that's why it's been one of my favorite. And you know, like I said, but everybody does things different. So everybody finds their flow, and nobody's gonna be able to do it like you do. So do you, bingo, just go, because you have a medicine nobody else could ever give anybody else. It's unique to you.
Yeah. So the past lives, I mean, and again, I feel like I'm doing probably even some more work like in the Akashic records and going to like a specific event and then just collapsing the record, the karmic loop, so you could just like move on. So I'm kind of really working with that right now. So you're not like, I'm not living like out a whole, you know, past full life. It's just you're going to a specific incident or just like learning what it is that you need to collapse so that you're not keep running the same karmic loop. But yeah.
Well, I want to say that Delaney Pearl Jones said that the Zulus believe that man came from dolphins, and was it Lucky Stone says dolphins are rather violent. They are very similar social structure to humans.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling you,
there was a story not that long, a few years ago, how the teenage dolphins were killing the babies, I think, you know, that because they didn't want them to get as big or something. Yeah, they're not the most the nicest animals, although like it's funny because I am a huge shark lover, and you know, and once I started to like really research about them, which is, they're fascinating because they've been on the planet like 400 million years. They've been here since like the dinosaur age. and they're still there. And then like one of the people that I follow, Diane Cooper, I believe her name is, and she does all these work with the archangels and whatever, but like the whales and the sharks are actually here to protect the dolphins who have all the light codes, like what Trina was saying. They have all that information, and they still, I guess maybe they have all the information from Atlantis and Lemuria. So you have the sharks and the whales that are supposed to be protecting the dolphins, and that dolphins technically don't die, or like they don't get caught in the nets unless they want to. Like if they're trying to raise awareness for like the nets and all that stuff, then it's like their sole contract to get caught in one. But I guess they do have that like power not to, that they are able to avoid all those types of situations. So yeah,
They
it's
are
always
very,
so
very
interesting.
sentient, beautiful, conscious beings. They are. You know, that's the thing. They are very, very energy sensitive. So I could see how they could be emotionally a little unstable, especially right now with the instability of our planet. So
Yes.
the teenage dolphins acting out, boy, I could see that being a real potential.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and have you seen the dolphins too that are coming out pink and blue?
I mean, I've seen a picture of, I guess it's just like a rare thing, I guess, or not. Is it now with like, what is that? How's that happening?
That was another thing that child said. She said that everything would start to exhibit rainbow colors, the animals, everything. So I thought that was interesting because we're seeing a lot of interesting colors expressing out of nature, and we're seeing a lot of albinos coming out too. So yeah, I think that this is part of this new light of Aquarius. I think the violet light, it's going to change not only our actual vision, because we'll be able to see a different visual spectrum of light when the ultraviolet light really starts to anchor into the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to change and recode DNA, because it's light, and light is information, and the light coming into this planet will code this planet. So things will be changing. Yes. But like I said, all the changes that need to be made and are going to be made, everybody already has the organic technology to do this within them already. It's already there. It's just a matter of being able to receive the new light and emanate it out of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Interesting.
I think that's why they say people will see two different dimensions. It might be because literally we're seeing two different layers of reality, because some people can see more light than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Just like, well, we talked about how isn't it the nursing homes where they bring a cat or a dog in, they can see the spirit leaving when the person dies.
Yeah, they know when they're coming and when they're leaving. My dog slept under the baby's crib like 5 days to 7 days before both my kids were born. It was weird. Like, she never did that because it was upstairs, and she started licking herself, and she went and slept underneath the baby's bed. Like, she knew the baby was coming, and they know when they're coming and going.
How about that? Well, Kathy, we got a bunch of stuff we need to talk about yet. Our hour is come and gone. We're already a little past.
Okay.
But Nina wanted to say, she says dolphins fetuses look like human babies.
Ooh.
So that's an interesting fact too. So just put it out. See how we get together with this collective. And we bring all these, and we all learn something. By the end of the time we get out of here, everybody knows something new.
Yes.
But now we're going to talk about your stuff, Kathy. We got the Starseed Technology website, and I'm going to share this with everybody, and we're going to go through that a little bit. And you wanted to tell them about your sessions and things like that. What do you do on the Starseed Technology?
Yeah. So Monday nights we meet live via Zoom, and every week's a different theme. So like the week coming up now, we're going to be doing Becoming Like Angels, and we'll be connecting with Archangel Christiel, who will help, who's in the 7th dimension, who will help us find or tap into our divine blueprint. And then the week after, we're going to do cutting cords, because we'll be right before the solstice. So that's coming up. Last week, like I mentioned, we did creating magnetic fields with the rainbow star seeds. We've done, usually like once a month, I like to do a dragon focused class. Then, yeah, I mean, each week I just, kind of meditate, figure out what collective needs to be brought forth. We'll do some breathing, some meditation. We'll do the movement to unlock everything in our body. We'll do like the guided meditation towards the end, which is kind of more like hypnosis. And then at the end of the class, we all just kind of meet and chat. So yeah.
Nice.
Wow. I'd like to almost get in on that. By gosh, if I get some time, I've got to do that.
Yes.
Right.
And so, I was mentioning to Robert before the call started, for the month of December, for the replays, I can give everyone 50% off if they want to check a class out. So it's only like $5 a class. So if you need any last minute Christmas gifts or, Secret Santa and, you don't want to go crazy, you can buy a class half off, check it out, give it to, send them the link and they can.
Nice. That is pretty cool. Classes. I'm just kind of cruising through this on here, trying to find out more stuff. Here you go.
That's the bio.
There it is. Oh, okay. I was looking at all this other stuff the other day. It was just fascinating. I was reading all this stuff. You got a whole bunch of stuff, and then you got a Facebook page and Instagram, and people can find you on, and that's all in the links below. Okay, let's stop share here. Okay, so anyway, you got all these things. So what's the code that they can use to get in?
So it's in Etsy, ETSY. It's like that shop that people buy all the arts and crafts, jewelry and stuff from. So the store name is Starseed Technology 11. And then they can browse through the list of classes on there. And then they can use the code, all capitals, Starseed 50. So 50% off. And then you can check out as many classes as you'd like. For the month of December, they're half off. So I'll also, I think Robert will put in the section, I'll put it in the comments after the YouTube, but that when you enable comments so that, if you want to check a class out and see what it's all about. But I encourage anyone to check it out on a Monday night and just, find my email and, ask how you sign up. And it's pretty simple.
Starseed 50, huh? Okay.
Starseed 50 is the code. Yeah.
There we go. Anyway, I'll put that in the description after I get done with the video. I'll edit and we'll put that in the description. But that's great because I know I was looking at it. I was thinking I'm going to check this out, because I think it is good
classes with Sasquatch. We got classes with the Orion Warriors. We got classes with the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, Hadarians. We try to hit them all so that everyone can kind of find something that they're into.
I think when you said something about the angel thing, we've been really big on the angels lately. We've been doing we got one of our group here, Al. He has been making our own Milky Way Soul Tribe angel cards, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
And for the most part right now, we've been doing these cards. I'm sure everybody knows these cards. And we've had a couple of shows on just these cards, which are very fascinating, talking about the angels. There's several of us in the group here who've been doing the angel rituals and doing the prosperity thing with Ariel and Poyal and stuff like that. So I think that's a big hit. People here really love the angels and would be very enthused to respond to that. I'm sure.
Every so often I'll do one with an archangel, but it's funny because as I was looking at this one, I was like, I could probably do a little bit more with them too. I think when you said something about
we also we're working with a book called the 72 Angels, and it's a 72 it's angel magic book, and it has sigils, and it's a very interesting, and every one of those angels is associated to one of the Psalms in the Bible.
Oh, interesting.
So it's very interesting stuff. It's been going pretty deep with the angel stuff lately, and there's a lot to it and a lot to learn.
And it tells you, which the angel does, how to its powers, defend against weapons, heal illness and injury, tells you how to say his name, shows you the sigil. It describes in the beginning how to do everything. I don't know, you guys can see all that, but it's all about working with them. So it's a good book to get. I think a lot of people have already got the book and they seem to be into it. It's really nice. I enjoy it myself. So here we go.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it is. It really is. I think there's a lot of people who've had success with that here. So I ain't saying that it's all mumbo jumbo, because by gosh, they're getting that results you were talking about. When you can show them something, hey, look what I did, and this is what I got, or look at me, and then people are, yeah, I guess there's something to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
So there you go. Anyway, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
We've had a good time with a lot of the people in the chat who've really been responding well. I'll name off a few of them. We got Lucky Stone, Michelle Can-Am Free, Joanne Danson, Gypsy, Mary Wins, Brandy Robinson, Ryan was in here earlier. I think he's still probably in. Ryan Serio, who's been on here quite a few times. Travis the Brick, Al Citro. We got Deborah Sloan, Ruth Ann John, and Delaney Pearl Jones, of course, Zigzag Zilla, Pent Greedy, Isby. Isby was in the house tonight. We had Milky's mom, Mary Wins, all these lovely people who come to join us tonight. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you. I am so grateful that you have all come and supported me and supported all of us to make this show possible. And without you out there, I'd just be talking to myself. but you send me energy, and I'm sending that energy right back out to you, because I love you all. Thank you. Thank you for being part of my life and our lives. Thank you, Kathy, for coming on. Thank you, Trina, for your wise words tonight. And Kathy, hopefully we can get you back on again sometime. This has been great. I'm going to try to get to some of those classes. Listen, to maybe even get in some of the ones on time. I work a lot, so I don't know when I could, but I'm gonna do that. I want to hear more about it, and I really thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was awesome. I loved it. Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Trina. Yes, thank you.
Super nice. Thank you.
So with all of that, everybody, please have a great, wonderful night. Give gratitude and favor to everybody around you. Go out this week and do something nice for somebody else, and then see how that makes you feel, and radiate the goodness of what's in your heart to everybody, and let them see how you are going to be. And with that, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all.
Bye.
Thank you, Kathy, for coming on.
Thank you.
And there we go. And